UN police force about to unconstitutionally take over U.S. town after what was uncovered overnight. While Obama was in office, he allowed the United Nations to start establishing a presence within American cities with a global police force, sneaking his plot to give America's sovereignty away under the guise of an organization called the Strong Cities Network. This unconstitutional move was largely criticized by patriotic groups as the Constitution requires a treaty for allowing any foreign military presence to base itself on American soil. In a shocking move, the United Nations is now using Charlottesville incident as a way to grab power in our country and unconstitutionally take over one of our cities. The Strong Cities Network, SCN, was launched by the United Nations back in September of 2015, providing the first ever global network of mayors and municipal level policymakers with the stated goal of providing a community to counter violent extremism in all its forms. Along with the United Nations is responsibility to protect doctrine, an enabling principle that allows an international community to intervene when they discover crimes being committed against humanity. The UN can take it upon themselves to safeguard, quote, any citizen who they view as being racially discriminated against. To put it in more simple terms, the UN can invade a country with their UN police force if they determine that crimes against humanity have occurred. Now, in an unbelievable power move, the United Nations officials responsible for combating racism globally have just issued a dire warning to the United States, claiming that after their investigation, they've found alarming racism trends in our country and are now set to intervene. Anastasia Crickley, chairwoman of UN Committee of the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, CERD, issued her statement Tuesday in response to the Charlottesville incident on August 12th, saying, "We are alarmed by the racist demonstrations with overtly racist slogans, chants, and salutes by white nationalists, neo-Nazis, and the Ku Klux Klan, promoting white supremacy and inciting racial discrimination and hatred," Crickley said. Of course, Crickley had absolutely nothing to say about Obama's violent Antifa group, who were beating people with metal poles and spraying acid into the face of Trump supporters who were at the rally in Charlottesville. This is an extremely serious power play move on behalf of the Sharia law supporting United Nations, as this warning has only been issued in a handful of countries in the past 10 years, where the UN warned third world countries such as Burundi, Iraq, Ivory Coast, Kyrgyzstan, and Nigeria of their actions against humanity. Crickley is now getting the UN to undertake concrete measures against the United States. Crickley went on, "In a decision issued under its earlier warning and urgent action procedure, the committee which monitors implementation of the International Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination stated there should be no place in the world for racist white supremacist ideals or any similar ideologies that reject the core human rights principles of human dignity and equality," Crickley said. She continued, "In addition to the criminal investigation of the individual who plowed his car into a crowd of peaceful protesters, killing a woman, the UN experts asked the U.S. authorities to undertake concrete measures to address the root causes of the proliferation of such racist manifestations. This is not only a power move, but a huge insult for a corrupt organization such as the United Nations to start attacking our country and publicly calling us out. America has done more than any other country on earth to weed out racism and fight for the human rights of others. Keep in mind, the UN is perfectly fine with Christians being massacred by ISIS, Muslims having sex slaves, white genocide in Africa, and the horrifying treatment of women, Middle Eastern countries. Obama tried desperately to take away our country's sovereignty by getting us involved in the United Nations Strong Cities Network. While the thought of having a foreign police on our soil has been a conspiracy in the past, the United Nations is making a real attempt to take our sovereignty away under the guise of, quote, protecting American citizens from racism. This was all part of Obama's plan the entire time and why he worked so hard to get involved with this unconstitutional deal with the UN. And what I say is let the UN take the funding away from the United Nations, because Obama gave away our internet back in October. Just as Trump was about to get in, he wanted to become what he wanted. He wanted a high position in the UN. I forgot, some kind of secretary or head of something in the United Nations. So I say we dismantle the UN in the city that we have here in New York, and get rid of the United Nations, stop the funding, and get our own military up, and have them not have any rights on our soil. I mean, this is disturbing to say the least. And this is a setup by George Soros and Obama and the Clinton cronies over there. I mean, this is really absurd. I have no idea. I just heard about this. A subscriber of mine told me to look into this, and I was very disturbed when I saw this article. It's very disturbing to say the least, and Obama has to be called out for who he is, a phony and a fraud. And he would have the right to dictate what happens on our soil. Excuse me? I don't think the patriots of this country are going to stand for that. So we're out of the climate accord. We're going to take out the funding from the United Nations also, because they are not helping anybody, even in the other countries. They're not doing any good for anybody. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And again, thank you so much for watching.